Accomack County School Board to order. May we all stand and pledge allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have roll call?
Present.
She's here remotely.
Present.
Here.
Present.
All right. Could I have a motion to allow Ms. Dr. Johnson to join us via the audio?
All right, I motion that we let Dr. Johnson join remotely.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. All right. The first item on the agenda, we have the reading of the public hearing rules.
Identify yourself by name and 911 address. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Individuals may not reserve or otherwise transfer their time to another speaker. Specific personnel matters must not be initiated at a public meeting. Speakers cannot be abusive, threatening, or use profanity. Specify the nature of your remarks. Speakers who have previously spoken on a subject for public comment shall not be allowed to readdress the board during the same public comment period. Specific questions should be resolved prior to the meeting by contacting the superintendent or the appropriate staff member. Anyone who would like to present a PowerPoint presentation for public hearing has to present the presentation 24 hours in advance for review by the staff for appropriateness. All questions shall be directed to the chairman, who will, at his discretion, solicit the response from the appropriate staff member.
All right, we will now have a presentation, overview of the operating budget. Reports.
Good evening, Mayor. Am I on?
Yes.
I was just gonna go over the same PowerPoint first and then give you an update. I did give everybody's, hand everybody's books out. It's also been online, and there are copies by the door if anybody else is interested in one to take one home. We will have this up hopefully in a minute, but looking at the PowerPoint, which should be on your iPads, the first two slides again are going over the comparative state revenues to show that overall it's down to 1.8 million. And then we show the corresponding increases or decreases in expenditures, and this has all been gone over. This will be the third time, so this is nothing new, which is, I'm just telling you, it doesn't matter, it's not valid. So anyway, the total decreases in expenditures due to the change in the funding sources was a $2.5 million increase. So the additional expenditures and items for the budget that are in your budget packets and that you're proposing, it's a 5% compensation supplement. Once again, this is on the current level of salaries and not decreasing it for the one-time distribution that teachers have received for 2 years. Increase in the employer contribution for health insurance, some dollars to back up a phase-in of the compensation study, an IEP compliance specialist, we currently have one, and funding for that position runs out through special ed ARP funds in September of 23. An elementary alternative education teacher and instructional system assistant, and 3 system analysts for our ERP system, which is enterprise resource planning, which Clara, myself, and Chris, and various other staff members have sat through 3 sets of vendor demos over the past 4 weeks. So hopefully you're gonna be hearing soon from us the next stage, which we're gonna meet at this point and elevate one to the top to begin what we call discovery, which is to begin to talk about costs and phase-ins. They The county has put 2 systems analysts in for their part of this, and the recommendation from Jack and actually from our consultant at GFOA is that we would need 3. This we hope to start entering, we hope to award the contract around April or May, so we're beginning on this. It's depending on the vendor, anywhere from an 18 to 24 month timeline proposed, depending on the vendor chosen. So we need to have these positions in now, because work is probably gonna begin before July 1st. That totals $3.368 million. So the summary is that we're approximately $2.1 million short to fund those items. So since that time, Dr. Holden asked that we comprise a list of all one-time requests that were in the request submitted by department heads and schools. We're working on that list, and we will be forwarding that to the appropriate department head for approval. I would like to point out in Ms. Chandler's request that there's something that we've initiated immediately, and it's because it's a compliance issue. So if we ever find out that there's a compliance issue, we do that immediately, such as something like increase in minimum wage or something such as this. And I'm just gonna read directly from Ms. Chandler's budget request. It was recently reported that teachers are used to cover classrooms at 3 out of 11 schools in the division for approximately 30 minutes out of their 94-minute block, which is now a 100-minute block due to the calendar revisions, to cover part of the planning block. This compliance issue should be addressed immediately. It is proposed that teachers are paid $30 an hour when used to cover a classroom due to a shortage of substitutes. Data from each impacted school suggests that paying teachers $30 an hour would cost the division approximately $845 a month. So I just wanted to let everybody know that after that came to our attention and Ms. Chandler looked into that, that is something we have relayed out to the schools, and we've enacted that immediately. Okay, so before I get into the debacle that's going on at DOE concerning funding of basic aid and hold harmless, I just want to give you a quick summary of the budget bills that came out of the House of Delegates and out of the Senate. The House of Delegates for 24 is proposing an increase from 5% to 7%, and they specify that teacher salary. They're proposing reading specialists in grades 6 to 8 at ratios of 1 per 1,150 students, instructional assistants for underperforming schools at a rate of 1 per 20 students, and the hold harmless sales tax miscalculation, which I'll go into that in a minute. The Senate is also proposing to go from 5 to 7%, and once again, they're specifying teachers on that. They took funding from the governor's proposed salary bonus in order to fund that. Reading specialists in grades 6 to 8 at a ratio of 1 per 550 students. Instructional assistants for underperforming schools at a ratio of 1 to 20, same as the House. Increase the at-risk add-on to 40%. 4 specialized support positions per 1,000 students. $1,000 retention bonus for instructional and support positions, and then the hold harmless. So those, we have not received the effects of those. Hopefully, I think they'll be signed by maybe Thursday, and they're talking about getting the half papers or whatever it is that calls it. So we're expecting to get those capsules, which should be correct, next Tuesday. Okay. So I sent you out an email because of all the chatter going around in the Richmond paper about the error in basic aid, and that basic aid was overstated. It was in fact overstated. It was an error in the calculation made by the budget office at VDOE, and when they were figuring our grocery hold harmless tax amount, grocery tax hold harmless, it should have been included in the calculations of basic aid as an offset. And they made a mistake in the DOE office and did not include that as an offset. So the estimates were that that would affect us $249,000 for this year we're in right now, and $616,000 for this budget year that we're discussing. And of course, as I explained, where this is a CPI number, composite index, Those of us with a lower composite index, which means we are a less wealthy county, are hit at a proportionately higher rate than somebody who has a high composite index, because they're removing state funding. So, that was where we were as of Friday. They had, the VASBO, the Virginia Association of School Business Officials, had set up a meeting for Monday at 2 p.m. to go into this further. Then Friday afternoon, they sent everybody a correspondence that it was canceled. And then apparently, DOE found out that they told everybody it was canceled, so they rescheduled it again. So Mr. Holland and I listened to a meeting, on Monday at 2 o'clock. And it was sponsored or put on by the Virginia Association of School Business Officials. It included the State Superintendent for Instruction, Jillian Balo, and Kent Dickey, who's the Assistant Superintendent of Finance, and Ed Lanza, who's the Budget Director. And they started off by saying that Governor Youngkin had issued a letter to Howe, Barker, and Knight, which are the leaders of the House and Senate, that he wanted them to do everything they could to fill the K-3 gap caused by the miscalculation error. So the House has included $4.9 million to address this. Both the House and Senate are only looking at effects for the current year, FY23. They have not addressed the 616 that will be short next year. The House included $4.9 million for this year, and the Senate $58.1 million for this year. The House is counting on that there's gonna be an increase in sales tax, and they're counting on that to offset the decrease by the miscalculation. So they are only proposing to give increased revenues to 64 divisions, of which we are not one. So I texted Rob about it, and he said that no one will receive less dollars. So I looked into the actual House bill, and the governor directed everybody, challenged them to come up with a plan to ensure school divisions would not lose money in the current fiscal year from the estimated amount that was communicated to them in June. The first error was the June calc tool, which our whole budget for this year now is based on. So from the House, I said, I'm happy to report that we analyzed the facts as you recommended, and no school division will receive fewer dollars per pupil than promised for this year. We recognize that sales tax have increased since the June communication, but also recognize enrollment changes have occurred since then. So what the House is doing is they're looking at sales tax and the basic aid loss in conjunction. And they're trying to see which divisions they think will receive enough sales tax increase to offset that. They have decided that Accomack County is one of those divisions, and they did not propose to give us any additional funding. The Senate, everybody on that list that had a decrease in funding proposes to give everybody that money. That's why theirs is 50-some million and the House's is less than 5 million. So once again, I'm giving you this as a budget update, but they have yet to address the effect in 24 based on the verbiage in the House. I think they're going to count on that we're gonna recover enough that sales tax is gonna make up the deficit, but sales tax is a wild card. So that's my overview, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions after public comment and in discussion.
Any questions? The governor has promised to try to get this gap closed, so hopefully that'll take place. Yes.
Just one question about the $30 for the teachers who have to cover another class. How did we come up with that number?
I believe we looked at other divisions, and, yeah, Claire, we looked at other divisions and pulled other divisions, and that's how we came up with that number.
I'm just wondering, the after-school teachers get paid more than that, and the Saturday school teachers get paid more than that, and.
Yeah, and this is in their workday.
Right. But so if they didn't work a whole hour, they would just get a portion of the $30?
Yes, and if they work more than an hour, then they, it would be prorated by the amount of time that they work. I actually had my secretary call our cohorts. Some were doing nothing, some were giving them, an extra amount of money. Northampton, our neighboring division, gives $30. And we had a discussion about what we thought at the time was fair. Now, when that budget was submitted, the after-school increase had not yet occurred. So, you know, I don't know if that has any impact. I'm certainly not married to that number, but based on the research that we did, it seemed like, decent compensation, given after school, you're staying extra time above and beyond your school day with additional lesson plans and whatnot, whereas the $30, you're simply monitoring substitute plan, you're not having to plan instruction.
So I guess I would, on behalf of the teachers, say that they're pitching in, and maybe they had not planned to pitch in, maybe they had something they needed to do on their planning period, and the people that work after school know that they're gonna work after school, and they have volunteered to do that.
And as I said, I'm not married to that
Okay.
figure,
Thank you.
that's where we came up with the number.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Okay, at this time, we'll open the public hearing, and right now, we have one person that has signed up, this Connie Burke.
Yes.
Hello. Okay. Good evening once again. I appreciate what you were trying to do for the teachers, but has anyone addressed the instructional assistants that are pulled from their regular daily duties to cover for substitutes that are not there, not available? Has anyone looked at that?
It is in my budget. It is
Okay.
added to our budget. yes.
All right, cool, just wanted to make sure. Okay. Due to recent, information, I see that the policy was pulled, which I'm glad for. I would like to talk about the tablets.
You're supposed to give your
Yeah, I am.
address, no, your address.
Oh,
You can't.
And this is
a
on
public
the
hearing.
budget.
excuse me, I'm talking about the budget.
Right, okay, but you're supposed to give your.
Are you taking up my time?
Yes.
Don't take up my time.
Give us your name, 911 address.
Well, didn't you just say my name? Connie Berger
Okay.
and Shinkaday. Thank you. Okay, I want to talk about tablets for kindergarten students. It doesn't take a rocket engineer, sorry, Mr. Bull, to realize that tablets are better for kindergarten students because while they cannot operate laptops, they can certainly operate their,
This is not a public hearing.
is this a public hearing?
This has nothing to do with public hearing.
Why does it not?
This
Is this not
is
public
about
hearing for
the
the
budget,
budget?
this is
Mr.
a
Reeves?
budget,
All right.
this is budget,
Go ahead, let her-
budget.
let her-
This has
Yes.
not, this is not open for other items.
Why would you not want to put tablets in the budget for the public hearing? Anything else? Mr. Reeves?
Go right ahead.
Thank you. I would hope that we would have some way to, if we need to, add tablets into the budget, if we should need them for the kindergarten, in case that policy comes into effect, and you know what I'm speaking about. Also, technology in the classrooms for kids as a special. I believe that that would be beneficial. So when we're talking about the budget, I think it would be beneficial to have technology as a special. And that would have benefited us greatly when the pandemic came, if the children were aware of how to use the technology. Thank you. Is that okay for you, Mr. Reese?
It's fine, as long as it has to deal with
Great.
budget.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to address the board on the budget that was presented? All right. We will close the public hearing and open our regular work session. And first, we want to welcome Arcadia Middle School.
Are we gonna have a budget discussion, because we need to,
No, we
that's
don't
fine.
approve this, this
I'm
is
sorry,
next.
don't-
We will recess.
Yeah.
All right, we welcome, the Arcadia Middle School and their, robotics team.
Good evening, Mr. Holland and all of our esteemed board members. I had a very nice presentation on our school data, school improvement data. However, because we are experiencing technical issues right now, what I'm going to do is just introduce Mr. Dedicatoria. So first I want to say Arcadia Middle School has partnered with community agencies to maximize the learning potential and expose all of our students to what is available to them, such as the Virginia Space Flight Academy. Mr. Dean Dedicatoria has a passion. He is one of my Math 8 teachers and a STEM teacher with 20 years of service to students in Accomack County Schools. He is an extraordinary teacher leader, and he is an invaluable asset to Arcadia Middle School and our school community. And now, without further ado, on behalf of the administration, faculty, and staff of Arcadia Middle School, we proudly present our very own Mr. Dean Dedicatoria, our Arcadia Middle School robotics team, first place champions for Project Award category at the first LEGO League Regional Robotics Competition on January 14, 2023 in Salisbury, Maryland. We are very proud and humbled, and please give a round of applause.
Good evening, Dr. Holden, Mr. Holland, distinguished members of the school board and the school board office. I am honored to present to you our Accomack robotics team from Arcadia Middle School. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up in your position. On January 14th, our student Panthers, not only representing Arcadia Middle School, but Accomack County Public Schools, went up to Salisbury, Maryland, and competed at the first LEGO League regional competition. At the regional competition, they competed in 3 major categories: robotic challenge, robotic design, and innovative project design. The innovative project design had a theme. It was on energy. And our students, using the engineering design process that they learned in my STEM class, not only did they have to first find a real world problem, research that real world problem, come up with a solution, but also create a model, prototype model of that solution. That's what you are seeing right here, this amazing design. And this year's theme was on superpower, which focused on energy issues that we are having issues with today. And without further ado, I would like to have my student Panthers to present their award-winning project. Take it away.
Hello, we are first LEGO League Team 58074, the Arcadia Campus Box. My name is Tegan.
My name is Dave.
My name is Julie.
A massive problem that we face today is that renewable energy we use is not consistent. For example, on cloudy days or at night, solar power is not available, while on mountain days, turbines do not produce enough electricity. We also learned that electric vehicles are a big stressor on the electric grid system. From a presentation that we got from Chesapeake County Power Station, the governor of California has asked electric vehicle owners not charge their vehicles during high usage.
From our research, we found that the water battery system seems like a viable solution to our energy crisis. Excess electricity from renewable resources would be stored in a form of product held in an elevated or tank. The weather time does not permit the production of energy. What stored water would be released and turn turbines that would generate electricity. The difference in elevation can be achieved by using non-operational landfill or a managed turbine. Obviously, for Accomack County, the non-operational landfill would be our option.
So during the night, operators at the work site would open the door to each one that would turn turbines that will produce electricity and go into this tank, in which I
And I apologize, I forgot to mention to you board members, if you all want to really get to see the detail and the research that these kids went through, there's a PowerPoint presentation that talks about the problem, the solution, and even they got down to parts and equipment that can actually make this happen. So,
All right.
thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
job, guys.
Thank you very much.
It almost was, would probably remind me, our students got some serious recognition. They were featured in the Eastern Shore Post, and it was really cool because when I was looking at reading the paper, I noticed that the paper was kind enough to put us at the end of this awesome article about the partnership with Eastern Shore Community College, Virginia Space, and then right there, our middle school kids.
Nice.
All right.
Feed right into that.
Thank you so much. All right, next item on the agenda is item 5.01. It's recognition of Black History Month. Black History Month occurs in the United States in the month of February. It's designed to commemorate the contributions of African Americans to our collective history and growth of our nation. So we do recognize that monthly, and there are various activities at various schools. Secondly, we have recognition of National School Counseling Week, and that is between February the 6th and the 10th. National School Counseling Week will celebrate from February the 6th to 10th, 2023. It is to focus our attention on the unique contributions of counselors within the U.S. school systems. National School Counseling Week, sponsored by the American School Counselor Association, highlights the tremendous impact school counselors can have in helping students achieve school success and plan for a career. National School Counseling Week is always celebrated the first week in February. Okay, item 5.03, the School Board Appreciation Month. The theme, Building the Future of Public Education, reflects the partnership of Virginia School Board Association with local school board members as they serve their local divisions and advocate for public education with local, state, and federal leaders on behalf of all students. The month-long observance is an opportunity for your school division and community to build stronger understanding of the crucial role school boards assume in a representative democracy. Thank you. And next, 5.04, recognition of School Board Clerk Appreciation Week. The VSBA Board of Directors has designated the third week in February 13th through 17th of 2023, as VSBA School Board Clerk Appreciation Week, with a goal of building awareness of the role of board clerks play in assisting school board members, superintendent, and our local school board. And we want to express our appreciation, and we will do it more so next week to our school board clerk, Bradley Elliott, and our assistant, Greta Smith. I'm pulling for Greta Smith, and to Ms. Only as our assistant clerk. Yeah. Now I'm going back to old times. All right, item 6.01, approval of the minutes. You had an opportunity to review the minutes from our last meeting. If there are no questions, then we will declare those minutes of the 17th and the 24th approved by unanimous consent. Item 7.01, instructional update.
Good evening. It's an honor to follow Dean and his handlers. This shows you all the really good things that are going on outside of the school. I just want to give you an update on some of the things that are happening in the instructional department or in instruction in our schools. So we have implemented a Spanish enrichment program for 4th and 5th grade students in the division-wide. The purpose is to provide students with enrichment in the form of a foreign language and to give teachers an additional planning period for 6 weeks. This is a 6-week program. This is a program that is sponsored through Virtual Virginia, which will provide synchronous instruction and asynchronous content for additional practice. Spanish enrichment instruction with a Virtual Virginia licensed teacher is how they will provide this. It's offered once a week during a designated time, 6-week sessions. The focus is on development of vocabulary and communication skills. The first session began today and ends on March 17th for Accomack, Chincoteague, and Punkatig Elementaries. The second session begins on April 17th and ends on May 26th for Kegatang, Metonkin, and Tangier. This is funded through Title IV enrichment. We had 3 schools that had to go through a state academic review. They were Chincoteague Elementary, Chincoteague Combined School or High School, and Arcadia Middle School. Chincoteague Elementary School, their academic review was conducted by BDOE Office of School Quality with members of the instructional team. Chincoteague Combined School was conducted by members of the instructional team, and Arcadia Middle Schools was conducted by members of the instructional team. Each school was given a list of findings and had to develop an action plan, which included a timeline. Findings for 2 of the schools indicated that the curriculum framework was not being followed and that the written, taught, and assessed curriculum needed to be aligned. Also, it was recommended that each school's administrator attend professional learning communities, PLCs, meetings to ensure during planning that the curriculum is aligned. Another recommendation was further professional development for administrators and teachers regarding using the curriculum framework to plan instruction. And the action plans had to be implemented and they had to be put in their school improvement plan. And Ms. McCray did a very good job of having hers tonight, and she would have seen hers embedded in her school improvement plan, and maybe we'll give her another opportunity to come back to present that. All of this had to be at the State Department by January 31st, so it was sent. High school interims started today. As you can recall, we were using ESSER funds to put high school students as tutors in our buildings, in our elementary buildings, and they might, some of them might have to go to the middle school, but we worked with, Karen worked with the high school counselors, the elementary school counselors, and they got everybody processed. They came up, they got fingerprinted, and got badges because they're employees of Accomack County Public Schools. And they did start today. Transportation is going to be provided for students that need transportation, but a lot of them don't need the transportation. And the Success Academy. Our first session of the Academy was on Saturday, and it was a major success. It was kudos to all the many people. It took a lot of people to make that the Academy a success, and everybody from all the various departments worked together, and they came together and we organized a historic event. We've never had a full Saturday school implemented in Accomack County. And we had about 298 students attended on Saturday, with the most of them being at Metonkin Elementary and Punkatig Elementary. Schools were fully staffed with teachers, administrators, and other support staff. Kids seemed very happy and enjoyed their experience. Teachers also seemed excited, and when I was looking through, Nando Middle School did exit tickets, and they did a survey of their kids for the first session, and the kids said they were very excited. They would be returning, they would be telling other kids about it,
And when I was at Chincoteague Combined School, I talked to some students that was in one of their classes, and he also indicated that this was pretty cold. He was gonna tell some other kids. So, you know, it was 19 degrees on Saturday morning, so I was really impressed to go into the buildings and see as many students as we saw in the building. So we're looking forward to our next session on the 18th and see how many kids we have to return and bring their friends. Principals have indicated that they have had several calls from parents thus far about the next session and how they could get involved. And I did have some really neat, you have the pictures, you can't show them on the screen, but Greta did upload some really neat pictures from the academy. I tried to take pictures as I went through all the schools, just so that we could kind of have something to show for that first Saturday. And the principals have put some of these pictures on their Facebook pages and things like that. So any questions about anything that I have reported to you?
I just have a couple of questions. The 3 schools that had the academic review, was there something, was that just random? They were just randomly selected?
And I did have that on it. These were schools that were level 3s and level 2s, which meant they were in red or yellow by the EDOE quality indicators. So it was some schools that had some discrepancies between either subgroups in English and math and things like that. So we needed to show them how we were going to change this and how we were going to improve this. This McCray school had really, theirs was just showing, needing a little bit of improvement in science. So when we went to do her academic review, that's what we did. We observed classrooms, and they give us a protocol that we have to follow. And we did that, but hers was mainly focused on science, because she's made major improvements in her English where she was before. Yes.
The other thing, I went to a couple schools on Saturday also, and the children seemed very happy, and everyone was, it was all very nice. It just, a couple of the schools, it didn't seem like there was that many children there. And I didn't know if there was some maybe consideration to combine the small groups into one school.
And we talked to the principals about it. We looked at the first week, and we're gonna take one more Saturday to kind of continue to keep it as it was to see what happens. But when we do our session in March, we will downsize. If we don't have the students, we don't need the staff. A lot of schools had done that already. They downsized their staff because they didn't have the students to register. Some of the schools had, for instance, I think McCompton had maybe 90 kids to register, but they only had like 70 or 69 or 70 that day. Parents called and said, you know, for some reason they couldn't make it, but they would be there. So we need to wait for the next time. When I talked to Paul about the buses, because I called to make sure all the buses got in at about 1:30, and all the buses, he said they were in and everything, and it was just like the first day of school. Parents bring their kids to school because it was really cold that morning. They didn't want to wait at the bus stop. So they brought them to school, but then the buses had to take them back home in the afternoon. So it went really, really well for the first Saturday. And like I said, it was so cold. We didn't think we'd have a lot of kids because of the temperature and how it was going to be that Saturday. But it was really nice. If you see the picture of some of the pictures that the school at Punkatig, that was, I was just amazed at how many kids were there at, you know, when they pulled them all together in the cafeteria before they went. And it was really neat to see the schools and the principals.
Yeah, they were doing neat activities.
They were.
It was nice that they had a small class size, but.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
I know that a lot of the ones that came, I guess, were invited. When we think about possibly broadening that invitation to more
We
students,
have.
if it's.
Because we have the money, we have the teachers slated, and some of the other schools were asking, well, can we invite some other kids that are like right on the line? Because they invited a certain amount of kids from one instructional level or academic level. So now they're maybe thinking about, let's step it down another level. But the one thing that we talked about is, we're not gonna turn any child away. And any parent who wants to get their child on a Saturday morning to come and learn, we are not gonna turn them away and say they can't come. So that's something that we've talked about also.
Can they not implement it now, or can they do it now?
No, they can do it, we talked about it, because we had it budgeted for a certain amount of teachers. We downsized it, some of the schools automatically downsized it, because they knew they did not have the numbers. But we haven't changed up the makeup, so if we said you have 7 teachers at Chincoteague, but only needed 3 for the first session, and your enrollment increases, you still have your teachers you can pull back in, because he has those teachers already to come back in. So we didn't tell anybody they weren't gonna be able to come back if the numbers came up. We just knew we didn't need, if they didn't need them that first Saturday, they didn't have to come in.
That's good to know. Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for that report. First,
Lisa,
oh, Lisa.
Lisa, you got one? Got a question? Wait a minute, I'm gonna put you out on the speaker. Go ahead.
You can put yours on speaker too.
On your phone speaker.
Huh?
Put it on your speaker.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right, now try it.
Okay.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I didn't have a question, I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I wanted to say thank you for the provision of the data electronically. It was very helpful to have data, not have to ask for it as far as the enrollment. It was also particularly helpful to see pictures that showed engagement, not just static pictures. Those are the things I wanted to offer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. All right, superintendent report.
Mr. Holland has lost his voice, so I'm reading this on his behalf. In the process of making changes to the current 22-23 school calendar, 2 holidays were turned into regular school days for students. Those 2 days were President's Day, which is February 20th, and the other day was Easter Monday, which is April the 10th. Since these 2 days are 12-month employee benefit days, we are proposing for the school board to approve giving Wednesday, April 5th, and Thursday, April 6th to them as 2 replacement days. It will not interfere with the students because they will be out on spring break.
Any questions? You all understand what was?
I don't know.
Yeah, explain.
Apparently,
Is it classified or just faculty? That's what I.
12-month employee.
All 12-month employees are given, I believe it's Easter Monday and President's Day, but those have been taken away because of the new school calendar. So 12-month employees will be expected to work those days or take annual leave. So as replacement days, I think I'm getting this right, Mr. Holland is proposing that 2 of the days on spring break are given.
Which 2 were again, did you want it? Which
Sorry?
2? Which 2 days?
I believe it was
April
Wednesday
5th.
and Thursday of spring break to replace Easter Monday and President's Day.
Okay. Any other questions? So the net effect is that we would give the 12-month employees the days that they were supposed to get, as far as holidays. Do I have a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve.
This has been on the agenda, so I had a minute to think about it.
Got a motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Okay. All right, one abstention. All right, next item is adjourn to close meeting.
The board will adjourn to closed meeting as allowed by section 2.2-3711 Code of Virginia, subsection A1 personnel, subsection A2 student matters, and subsection A7 legal.
Second.
So moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now go to close session.